Has hit fever pitch courtesy of the BBI process, and clearly the proverbial writing is on the wall. 10 years down the line, what are the hits and misses in the implementation of the Constitution? What role has Parliament and the Executive played in either success or failure of the implementation process? KTN senior political reporter Duncan Haimba takes us down memory lane.
As the Defence Forces Band plays a fanfare to show that we have a new constitution.
On this day, the 27th of August, 10 years ago, heralded a rebirth of Kenya as a nation.
The seal has been affixed and it is presented to His Excellency the President.
It was a momentous occasion for the country as a homemade constitution crafted, endorsed and promulgated by Kenyans for Kenyans after ridding the country of the independence constitution that had been made for Kenyans largely by colonial masters. On that night, Kenyans went to bed with pregnant expectations that the bitterly fought for constitution, which was given an approval by an overwhelming 67% of Kenyan voters, would be successfully implemented, bearing in mind the heavy and ultimate price a section of Kenyans had paid in demanding for constitutional reforms. It is the august house that was given the biggest responsibility to steer the implementation journey on behalf of the people. Dr. Paul Otiende Amolo was a member of the Committee of Experts and is now a member of Parliament.
Parliament did very well because of the list of legislation in Schedule 5 that they were expected to pass between 1 year and 5 years. I think they passed 99% of them. The only one that was outstanding and is still outstanding is the question of the one-third gender principle. And as you know, that's a question that has been quite controversial.
On 28th November 2018, then Majority Leader Eden Bare Duale dramatically withdrew his sponsored bill on gender parity on the day members were supposed to vote. It was a third unsuccessful attempt since 2010.
I'm conscious that should we proceed to attempt to take the vote, and upon counting the members present, if it is discovered that we are less than the requisite threshold of 233 members as required under Article 256D of the Constitution, we will risk losing the bill.
We made a decision that in the event that we would realize that we are not able to get the threshold required to take a vote, Mr. Speaker, we would ask the mover of the motion to withdraw it.
But Mr. Speaker, could I request your indulgence to establish how many members we have so that we know how many we are lacking?
You just hit 212 a while ago. And more importantly, it is not enough to just have 233 of yourselves. Remember, you still need to go beyond 233 voting in support.
Despite opposition leaders Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka attending the session to rally their political troops, a good number of members of Parliament vanished from the chamber to deny the required threshold.
Mr. Speaker, this is a bill that has held hostage Parliament, Mr. Speaker, for the last 1 month. We have discussed it, we have talked about it, we have lobbied. Mr. Speaker, it is very important. We have prayed for it, Mr. Speaker. This is a bill that we need to dispense of.
It is important for him and those who advise him to understand that the consequences of what he has asked you to do may result in this bill dying.
Failure by Parliament to enact a law on gender parity is the glaring big miss that has seen Law Society of Kenya petition Chief Justice David Maraga to have him advise President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament, citing its failure to enact two-third gender legislation.
Just to urge ourselves that we should not be indeed worried about the fact that the tour of Parliament may come to an end and that there could be some impending retirement of some of the players. But please, in good time, try to address that.
What role has the executive and parliament played in guaranteeing successful implementation of the Constitution? What did the experts who crafted the supreme law of the land anticipate?
I would say that the executive has performed differently at different times. Lately, there have been, of course, concerns in terms of respect for court orders. There have been concerns in terms of compliance with the Constitution, where the Constitution requires, for example, the President to act in a certain way, like appointment of judges. And so there are instances where the executive can be faulted for not following the Constitution. But by and large, Kenyans, and especially the courts, have tried to keep the executive on the narrow path of ensuring that it complies with the Constitution.
Is a bicameral parliament more effective compared to the initial single chamber, bearing in mind the never-ending supremacy wars?
I think Senate has also done quite well, yes. But ultimately it will be for Kenyans to decide. It will be for Kenyans to decide whether they want still a bicameral system or if they want to go back to a unicameral one. That we will examine.
A 9-member commission for the implementation of the Constitution, CIC, was established, whose role was to monitor, facilitate and oversee the development of legislation and administrative procedures required to implement the Constitution, whose term was only 5 years. Duncan Hemba, KTN News.